Ladies and gentlemen, please silence all communication devices at this time. Our program is about to begin. Please take your seats.
Please welcome the Vice President of Conferences for LRP Publications, Ed Chase.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Thursday. It's day 2 or 3, depending on whether you had workshops with us on Tuesday, but welcome back. Very happy to have you with us this morning. Thursday is the biggest and busiest day at FETC. If you can't find it today, it might not exist, and you might need to have a talk with yourself. A couple things before we get started for our keynote speaker today. Our expo hall is open until 5 o'clock tonight, so don't miss the opportunity to talk with our exhibitors or take part in our learning labs, our skill builders, and especially our STEM theater presentations on the show floor today. We are LRP Publications. We are the owner and producer of FETC. We are responsible for putting together all of the content that you have enjoyed over this past week. If you and your team would like to find out more about how we can help you and your school succeed, please feel free to visit us at the LRP Publications booth. We're at booth number 110. And you will also have a chance to talk with us when you pick up your commemorative official FETC mugs starting tomorrow morning. They will be at the LRP booth. Again, that's booth number 110, right outside the front gate. While you're in the expo hall today, please take some time and visit the Lenovo booth. They're at booth number 220, as well as the other prize booths to enter into their drawing for the Lenovo $30,000 classroom makeover. The drawing for that will take place on Friday at 1:50 after all the sessions have ended. It will take place promptly at 1:50 tomorrow afternoon. So please visit our Lenovo booth friends in booth number 220. Now, let's get to the reason that we are here this morning. Let's recognize our STEM Award winners and hear from our keynote, Mr. Michael Meechin. Let's start with our STEM Award Excellent Award nominees and winners. To introduce you to them, please welcome Mark Smith. Mark is the chairman of the FETC STEM Awards Committee. Mark, take it away.
I should probably recognize it takes me longer to walk upstairs than it used to. I guess I'm getting older. Good morning, everyone. We are excited to be here and present the STEM Excellence Awards for the 4th year. The FET STEM Excellence Awards were created to recognize excellence, innovation in the field of STEM education at the primary, middle, and high school levels. We have nominees and winners that are selected from each level from across the country. And for the first time in the awards, we actually had international applicants. STEM is a curriculum based on the idea of educating students in science, technology, engineering, math in an interdisciplinary and applied manner. This year, the STEM Excellence Awards were evaluated based on interdisciplinary curriculum, collaboration, design, problem solving, and STEM experiences. Each school had the opportunity to submit applications that were considered and measured for comparison along those standards. We reviewed over 100 applications this year to select the top 3 in each category. At this time, I would like to welcome those folks to the stage that helped with this amazing process. Carrie Hutner is an educational technology coordinator and math resource teacher at Verona Area School District in Wisconsin. Tim Childers is the assistant principal for technology integration at the L&N STEM Academy in Knoxville, Tennessee. And Todd Kennedy, one of those international folks that we talked about, is the manager of technology services for Golden Hill School Division, all the way from Calgary, Alberta. Did I get that right? It's awesome. Unfortunately, not able to join us today due to their other commitments were Dr. Carla Johnson from Purdue University, Dr. Aaron Peters from George Mason University, and Lance Lennon. Thank you, STEM Committee, for your excellent work. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce the finalists in each category for the STEM Excellence Awards. We're going to begin with the elementary school division. Liberty Elementary School is our first finalist, and joining us today are Paul Pack, Amelia Hunter, Ashley Schmidt, Leanne Fisher, Nicole Thomas, and Courtney Peckham. Please welcome them to the stage. Our next finalist is Oxford Elementary School, joining us all the way from Kansas. Shelley Graves and Stephanie Moberly are here with us this morning. Please welcome them to the stage. And our winner in this year's elementary school division is Mountain View Elementary School. Who is apparently a lot happier to be here than when I came to the stage. Joining us this morning is Adrian Harrison, Michelle Schrecker, Terry Griff, Courtney Brown, Kanisha Haywood, Lauren McCampbell, and Wendy Sherbert. Let's give them a round of applause for winning the elementary school division.
So I've been really impressed with the makerspace and how easily the kids like to create. They just go in and grab what they need. For our recent social studies project, the kids had to make something to use in a mock interview. They were right at home making bows and arrows, teacups, minting coins with the 3D printers. And just in general, it's really making teaching that 4.1 science standard a breeze. I'm not having to do all the instruction. The kids know how to set up an experiment, they're comfortable with measuring, and I'm not having to give all the ideas. It's been hugely beneficial.
Again, congratulations to Mountain View Elementary School. Let's move to our middle school division. As a quick reminder before I do that, make sure you stop by the STEM Theater, which you can actually just see right over there on the other side of the big pole, and make sure you check these teams out today. Moving to the middle school division, joining us as our first finalist is the Engineering and Science University Magnet Middle School from New Haven Public Schools in Connecticut. Joining us this morning is Mr. Robert Pinkster. He also had on his team Carissa Stolzman, Taylor Poliano, and Heather Toothtaker. We'll have to give Robert the longer stage of applause since he's by himself. Should make him do the Vanna White wave here as he goes by. Our second finalist is Rose Park Magnet Middle Prep from Metro Nashville Public Schools. Joining us this morning from Rose Park is Robert Blankenship, Robert Clifton, Claudine Denning, Dustin Politica, and Sarah Shepard. Let's welcome them to the stage. And our winner in the middle school division is Lang Park Middle School of Science and Technology from Charleston County School District in South Carolina. Let's welcome them to the stage. And I will quickly say that in our years of doing this, this is the third year that Lang Middle School has attempted to be a winner of the award, and we're proud that they won this year. They've made continuous improvements to their programs, and we're glad to have them. Joining us are James Whitehair, Mel Goodwin, Megan Wickline, Christina Schultz, and Harriet Clement. Again, they are our winner in the middle school division.
Hi, I'm Reese. I'm in the 8th grade at Lang Middle School of Science and Technology. At Lang, all of our students and teachers use STEM tools to make our classes more interesting. Kids learn to solder when they make LED maps in 6th grade social studies, and then expand their skills when they make electronic picture books in English language arts.
In science, we use microcontrollers to show flow processes in human organ systems.
We're building apps to help study historic events and world geography.
We teach our kids that failure is an option as long as you fail forward.
In 8th grade social studies, students work in teams. on a greenhouse project that targets the problem of food deserts within our community.
This approach lets students take ownership of their learning and builds collaboration, communication, and other soft skills that are essential to success in 21st century careers.
Welcome to Spamware Systems Center Atlantic. We deliver the IT systems that allow our naval forces, that's the Navy and Marine Corps, to dominate around the entire globe. In order to bring kids into the STEM career field, we have partnered with the Lang Middle School because they are focused on STEM curriculum from day one. Their ability to show our youth the opportunities that exist is unparalleled.
At Lang, we are using STEM to improve academic performance,
Close achievement gaps,
Build 21st century work skills,
and grow student interest in STEM careers.
Again, let's give one more round of applause to Lang Middle School. And as we move to our high school division, obviously our final category this morning, let's welcome Mater Academy Charter from Miami-Dade School District right here in Florida. Joining us on the stage for our first high school finalists is Judith Marty, Maria Montero Matrani, Sylvania Macho, Kismet Oloa, and Martine Macho. We're excited this year too because we actually are seeing students participate in the conference through the award. Thank you. Our next high school finalist is Riverview High School from Anglophone East School District in Canada. So not only our first international participants, but our also first international finalists. Joining us this morning are David McDonald, Maria Jose Patres, and Ian Fogarty. Let's welcome them to the stage with a round of applause. And our winner for the high school division this year is the Engineering and Science University Magnet High School from New Haven Public Schools in Connecticut. Joining us this morning is Mr. Leon Tynes. Again, congratulations to Engineering and Science University Magnet in New Haven Public Schools.
I think it helps because it gets them into a whole mindset that they can do. And they can do 24 hours a day, where it's not the hour and a half period or the 45-minute period that you have in my class. You can reinforce your learning at any point in time throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the year. And that's just something that is much more powerful than the traditional model where if you have the book in front of you, you can learn. I would define innovation as doing something different in a world of sameness. So I think just being able to present information in a different fashion and make kids really think about the projects that they're doing and not just do something by rote memorization or something that they've done, 5 or 6 years ago, but by having them create something that's fairly new. It's really about just fostering that creativity in students.
My name is Hannah Bidan and I am from West Haven, Connecticut. Last year I won the grand prize for the Sikorsky Helicopter 2050 Challenge. And for this challenge I had to create an innovative helicopter that would improve on existing helicopters right now and would solve one of the global challenges today.
Yeah, let's give one more round of applause for all of our participants this morning. And again, don't forget to go check out their great work in the STEM Demo Theater. At this time, let's give one more round of applause to our committee as well as our finalists this morning. And welcome back Ed Chase to the stage for the rest of the program this morning.
Thank you very much. Well done. A lot of handshaking today. I love it. Good job, Mark. Appreciate it. All right, thank you, Mark. Thank you, committee members. Please, let's give one last round of applause to all of our finalists and winners. Well done. So as Mark mentioned, you can hear from each and every one of those schools as they share their innovative ideas. They will be in the STEM Theater, and that's booth 1805. So to see the schedule of when they are presenting today, you can check out your show guide, and it is listed on page 62. So now let's get to our keynote presenter this morning. Michael Meechin is a high school principal educational consultant, speaker, and writer. He is a proud product of an inner city public education system and has spent his career in at-risk schools with high needs populations in Central Florida and metropolitan Atlanta. He has a wide variety of experiences which make him an asset to schools and school districts looking for support in reaching student populations through high impact instruction. He was a superstar presenter last year. We knew we had to promote him to the main stage this year. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your keynote this morning, Michael Meechin.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good morning. So I have this really innovative piece of technology that I had never seen before. Looks kind of like a golf club. It's weird. But what it lets you do, you can put your cell phone in it, and you can take a selfie with it. Like that. It's pretty awesome, right? So, can we go ahead and pull the slides up for me? I want to welcome you guys this morning to our keynote. I am extremely excited to be here at FETC to talk about breaking down barriers with you. And I want to go ahead and get the elephant out of the room because I know what you're all thinking. I thought it too myself. Who is this guy? So let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Michael Meechin. I'm the principal at Poinciana High School in Osceola County, Florida. And we're right here in Central Florida. And I'm extremely excited for the opportunity to come to you. I've never written any books. I don't work for a large ed tech company. What I do on a daily basis is I principal a high school of very diverse learners, and I'm a current practitioner like so many of you guys in this room today. So I'm extremely grateful that FETC has taken the opportunity to allow someone like me to come up here and talk with you this morning about some of the barriers that we face. So you can find me on Twitter. I'm at Mike Meechin. You can also find me on the web, MikeMeechin.com. And you can extend the conversation. I would highly recommend if you like something that you hear this morning, put it out on social media. If you don't like something you hear this morning, put it out on social media. Hold me accountable. All right. But you can find me on Twitter at Mike Meechin. The hashtag for FETC is hashtag FETC, okay? So keep that conversation going for everybody to look online. So I like to talk about, I have some of my staff members here, and they're tired of hearing this, but I like to start off every session talking about why I do the things that I do. And I want to tell you a little bit about Poinciana High School. We are grades 9 through 12. We have 1,800 students. 52% of the students that come to me in 9th grade read below grade level. So we have an overwhelming task at my school in how we engage these kids. And taking them to high levels of learning can be a challenge when that is your reality. So I think it's very important that we know why we do the things that we do. And I would challenge you this morning as you're here with your teams and you attack this conference, that you think about why you do the things that you do on a daily basis. Those are really important questions for us. I also have some street cred on Twitter. This is what my students think about me. So I'm pretty legit, okay, when it comes to what my students think about me. I'm not quite sure how you use children's tears to shine your head, but that's what my student body thinks about me. So we run a pretty tight ship at Poinciana High School, but I've got some street credit there. But I get to work on a daily basis with some of the most dedicated educators and students in this country. So it's something that I appreciate and I definitely do not take for granted ever. I'm here this morning to talk with you about barriers to instruction. And I chose barriers when Jen asked me, hey, can you come out and keynote? I originally said yes, and then when I got here yesterday and I saw the amount of seats that were in here, I completely rethought that decision, all right? But barriers are a great topic of conversation because no matter what school you work at, where you're from, big, small, diverse campus, non-diverse campus, we all have barriers. Our barriers all look different. They take different shapes and forms depending on the student's needs and the staff's needs. But we all have barriers in our schools. And I'm not gonna hit you with groundbreaking information today, but I do want to offer some thoughts on how to think about attacking barriers in your schools, in your districts, okay? So that's what we're gonna spend our time with this morning. The reality of the matter is that our classrooms no longer look like this. They're very different places, full of diverse learners, and I would actually challenge that the definition for diversity has changed as well. It's no longer isolated to ethnicity or even socioeconomics. Our classrooms are full of diverse learners with different learning levels, and our teachers have the ultimate task to engage all of those kids. They all come to us with different stories and different needs. It is becoming an almost impossible task. And that's where we all need to stick together in the education profession to help break down the barriers. Because the needs are very different. Our kids are 24/7 learners. They will consume information at 3 a.m. in the morning, whether we want them to or not, okay? And just when you think you've caught up with them, and you're like, hey, my class is available on Facebook. Mister, we don't use Facebook anymore, we're on Twitter. Okay, well, then I go and I create my Twitter account, and we're no longer on Twitter, we're on Snapchat now, and then we're not on Snapchat, we're on Kick. Okay, so all of these things, they're extremely difficult to even keep up with. They move at a speed that is absolutely incredible. They're probably your best sources of technology support in the classroom because they already got it figured out. So our students are for sure 24/7 learners. The question is, does our schooling allow them to take advantage of their learning styles? And I would challenge you to think a little bit about that. And we really can't fault them for that, because on Sunday mornings, you will find me on my couch, and I watch 8 football games at the same time. So I am also consuming massive quantities of information. Look at a screenshot of CNN, or look at a screenshot of ESPN. Look how much information we consume in our daily lives, and then we ask them to crack a textbook and wonder why they're not excited. Those are really important points that we need to think about in our schools. Our kids have this thing figured out. And bottom line, our kids are nice to us, okay? When we come in and they truly engage themselves in this technology-immersed world that we live in today, and we come in and we ask them to open up a textbook, most of the time they play along. They understand the game of school. They understand that they're going to take assessments. They're going to receive grades for those things. But the reality of it is that the best way to serve the high needs of all of our students in our classrooms and the diverse needs of our students in our classrooms? So this quote is pretty profound. Books will soon be obsolete in schools, and our school system will be completely changed in 10 years. How many people, raise your hand if you think that that is an accurate statement? Raise your hand up high so I can see. It's kind of hard to see with all the lights. Good. A lot of believers in that quote right there. So I would challenge your thinking a little bit, because the quote is actually attributed to Thomas Edison in 1913. So as educators, we find ourselves caught in an educational environment where worlds are colliding. Schools and districts are still providing resources for teachers and curriculum that is very much boxed. But our students need outside the box teaching and learning skills. So we're in a world where sometimes we think things are moving really fast, and they're not. Not as fast as we may think. So we need to keep that in mind as we look at things. And then how can we leverage technology? You're all here at FETC, the future of educational technology. So how can we leverage technology to help us meet these goals? Is a great question. SpaceX is a phenomenal example of the needs of our students' learners. So SpaceX is a company founded by Elon Musk. They launch rockets about 45 miles away from here out of Cape Canaveral. And they changed the landscape. They did something just over a year ago that really impacted all of us that are educators in this room. Check this out. Can we get some sound? Maybe not.
Stage one is landed. LZ1, the Falcon is landed. Landing operators moving to procedure 11.100, section 3 on LZ1 VNet and recovery net.
Repeat, the Falcon has landed.
It's like the nerd Super Bowl, right? Like they're like, and I could say that because I'm an educational nerd, so I'm in the club. If you're not quite sure what you just watched, okay, this time-lapse photo tells the story. What SpaceX did in that moment is they launched a rocket from Cape Canaveral, they delivered a payload to orbit, and then they returned the stage one of the rocket, which is the engine component, back to Earth a few miles away at a landing pad at Cape Canaveral, standing upright. At that moment in time, they completely changed the landscape for how we need to prepare students. They immediately created careers that up to that point hadn't existed. So how are we shifting our instruction and our teaching and learning to meet the students' needs? And there's hundreds of examples of SpaceX moments that are truly changing the landscape for us. So when we talk about barriers this morning, our barriers are real. They're great in all of our schools. How are we going to overcome them? Our kids aren't going to go to the moon. Our kids are even going to surpass what SpaceX did. They're going to move on to Mars and beyond. So does our teaching and learning prepare students to rise to that challenge? That's the question. The World Economic Forum put out in 2015 a list of top 10 skills, and I'm not as interested in the 2015 list as I am for the 2020 list. And if you look at the top 3 skill sets that they want to see from learners, complex problem solving, critical thinking, and creativity. Does cracking a textbook in a classroom produce these kinds of learners? Or how can we leverage technology to enhance that piece? That's the challenge. Those are the barriers. Here we are at FETC, and I want to give you a roadmap for how I think you and your team can best leverage the resources here at this conference. So let's talk about identifying barriers. If you don't know where you're going, you can't get there. So you need to get with your team of people. And you need to talk about, before you hit sessions this afternoon, what barriers are you trying to break down in your school, in your district? And how are you going to overcome those things? So you've got to get with your team to make that happen. And if you've not done that, I would challenge you before you get to those sessions this afternoon to have those conversations. We talk a lot in my school about where we're going. We have to know where we're going if we're going to attack those things. And you're going to find a lot of technologies here that are super shiny and have a lot of bells and whistles. And they're going to distract you. But you need to think about your barriers. The next thing you need to do after that is plan with a purpose. If you're not looking at the program guide and not developing your plan and how you're going to attack this conference and knowing what you need to do, you're going to be a little bit lost. And FETC has introduced some new strands that have made the job a little bit easier, where they've broken down how can we frame the conference based on what your role may be in your school or district. Jen Womble, the FETC program chair, talked about why they shifted to that. And they did it to match their participants' needs, to better match their participants' needs, which is great that we're attending a conference that is receptive to what our needs are as participants. And you have these 5 different strands that are available for you: the educator strand, the admin strand, special education strand, which is something I'm extremely excited about, the early learning strand, which makes me super nervous. Anytime we get small kids in large numbers together, I'm out. All right, but I've spent a majority of my career at high school, so. And then you've got the information technology strand, so there's some really exciting things available for you, and they've set it up in a way that's really easy to digest, which I like. So planning with a purpose. You have to know what questions to ask. And it ties into knowing what your barriers are and planning with a purpose, and then asking the right questions when you hit the exhibit hall. That space over there is extremely intimidating, especially if you're a classroom teacher and you may not make all the decisions in your school. So what questions are you going to ask of vendors and these amazing technology companies that are on the exhibit hall floor? So I reached out to companies that I like, that I think are very good to education. The team from Remind talked about making sure that you have a plan and doing your homework before you come to the conference. Again, planning with purpose so that you can prioritize what it is you're going to see and what it is you're going to do. The team from Squirrels talked about keeping an open mind and also looking at what your district or school's mission and vision are, and then how can you find technologies that can help meet that mission and meet that vision. So knowing what to ask is an extremely important piece as well. The 4th thing is, what do you do when you get home? I heard Jen speak yesterday at if you're new to FETC session they had yesterday afternoon. And she talked about January 30th being the date, because that's when this conference truly starts for you. What are you going to do when you get home with the learning that you have consumed here at this conference? How are you going to extend it when you get back? You need to huddle up with your team. You need to talk about, what is that going to look like? At my school, we talk about a return on investment. If I send you to a conference, the expectation is that when you get back on campus, you're going to share the things that you learn. It's a return on our investment as a school that you're going to bring back those strategies. We've also really thought about how we distribute professional development in our building, and we utilize something called strategy walks, where every teacher that we send to conferences, part of the return on investment is that you're going to guarantee me that you're going to open your classroom and not just teach teachers about it, but you're going to show them and model what it looks like. Those are really important pieces. And thinking about, what does your professional development model look like as you kind of roll out some of the learning that you have. I'm going to talk about 5 barriers, specific barriers this morning. And they hit on 5 different areas: prep and planning, teaching and learning, professional development and support, intervention, and accessibility. Before I do that, I want to show you this short video, because no matter what I tell you this morning, it's not going to matter without you. You are the key ingredient as the teacher, as the educator, as the school principal, as the superintendent. It all starts with you. Check this video out.
The future of education can't be found in a gadget or an app or a program or a product. It doesn't require a think tank full of pundits. No, the future of education can be found in your classroom. Your classroom is packed with creative potential. You have all the innovation you need right there in your room, and you have the power to make it happen. It's what happens when you experiment. It's what happens when you give your students voice and choice. It's what happens when you abandon the scripted curriculum and take your students off-road in their learning. It's what happens when you teach to your students rather than teaching to the test. It's what happens when you unleash the creative power of all of your students, when you make the bold decision to let them make things and design things and solve problems that they find relevant. Sometimes it's messy and even confusing. It often looks humble. But understand this, that every time your students get the chance to be authors or filmmakers or scientists or artists or engineers, you are planting the seeds for a future that you could never have imagined on your own. That's the power of innovative teachers. That is why the future of education is you.
Such a true statement. And I want to start before I get into the barriers that my core belief is it's about the quality of the educator at the front of the classroom. Period. No program, no technology you're going to learn about this at this conference. If it's not about this, we're in the wrong profession, people. And that's not isolated to schools in the United States or the state of Florida or Canada or anywhere for that matter. If we're not providing quality educators in all of our classrooms, it's going to be a challenge, a barrier that we possibly will not overcome to meet the needs of our learners. So I want to start with that. And I also want to provide you with this disclaimer. It is not about the technology, but it is about what you do with it. If I put a classroom set of iPads in your classroom, that is not going to take teaching and learning to the next level. It is not going to make the lessons that you integrate in your classroom innovative. So if you do not do the right thing with the tools and with the technology, you can actually take steps backwards. So I want to be clear on that. I also want you to know that I'm going to talk about some tech companies this morning. I'm not saying that they're the best out there. It's what we use in my school, all right? So I want to be clear on those pieces. Time is a barrier that every school faces. How do we engage teachers in the prep and planning process and break down the barrier of time? Twitter is one of the best ways. We have to get teachers, if you're not a Twitter user, you're at the Future of Educational Technology Conference. You are missing out on possibly the greatest professional development tool that is available to educators today. Period. And you need to be engaged in that process. Through the use of hashtags, this screen here is actually a live screen, so it's actually a live feed of all of the tweets that are being marked with hashtag FETC. And you can see the conversations that are happening, all right, while this conference is going on. So you're able to keep up with, through the use of hashtags, all the information. If you have teachers that are not here at this conference, they can follow right along with the learning at home. It's the same way, all right, throughout. Our professional development piece, if you look at all of these hashtags that are available to educators in the education space, and you can curate that content. It's not about, if you're still searching for resources and lesson ideas online, you're working too hard. The content can come to you now. And you are able to do that through social media platforms like Twitter. So if you're not on Twitter, you need to create an account. And don't just create an account and don't use it. And I know who you are because your profile picture is an egg. Okay? So if that's you, you need to get it fixed before you leave this conference on Friday. All right? Just want to make sure that we're crystal clear on that. Paperly is a great technology that integrates the use of Twitter and other search terminology on the web. Using Paperly, I am able to take information, any search term that I want, and publish it whenever I want through Paperly. So for example, every week, this program searches for hashtag EdChat, hashtag EdTech, and it sends me an email on Sunday nights, which then I can forward out to my staff. And then it puts it in a nice, easy, user-friendly newsletter format. And I don't have to do anything. It comes straight to my email, the content comes to me, and then I can distribute with my team. So we have to utilize technologies to work smarter, not harder. Let's talk about teaching and learning. Barriers for us was how do we get, if we truly have 24/7 learners in our classrooms, they don't like to wait a long time for feedback. The days of grading papers and waiting 2 weeks to hand them back, they're gone. Our kids need immediate feedback. We need immediate feedback as educators to be able to shift our instruction. So we utilize GradeCam in my building. You have to have an assessment tool like this. And this is a screencast of me grading papers using the webcam on my laptop. And it's grading them, disaggregating data instantly for me, and then it spits out a massive amount of data for my teachers to then be able to shift their instruction. And you can align it to state standards and all of those pieces. This is an important piece of the work that we do at Point Siena High School in terms of taking our instruction to the next level and also customizing learning for the needs of our kids. We have to be able to provide students with immediate feedback. They're not going to wait. So we have to make sure that we shift the strategies that we're using in our buildings to be able to address those needs. We're also doing some very unique things with College Board and Khan Academy. I work, again, 52% of my students read below grade level. We have a lot of opportunity in areas for SAT and ACT scores at my school. So we decided to utilize a partnership between College Board and Khan Academy where students can take PSAT scores and link them to tutorials through Khan Academy. The beauty of it is it takes the results from their PSATs and it customizes their test prep for them in Khan Academy. So I'm a skeptic, okay? And I wasn't quite sure how this was going to work. We took a pilot group of students and we engaged them in 16 hours of test prep sessions with their PSAT scores linked to Khan Academy, which, by the way, is completely free. It cost us nothing, okay? So we had the pre-Con group, we had their scores prior to Con. Our Con group increased their scores by an average of 20 points on the SAT. We like those results. 16 hours of test prep on a platform that cost us absolutely nothing in my school that kids were hooked in and bought into is game-changing for us. So breaking down those barriers with the use of technology, we like that. If your district, also in the teaching and learning space, has not unleashed the power of mobile devices, you need to. Sometimes it takes critical conversations. My district, for a long time, we did not do that. We're now a BYOD technology district, and we utilize the computers that are in so many of our students' pockets on a daily basis. We have to. And you need to, again, it's about the pedagogy, not about the technology. If you're an admin or you're a district support person, you need to be providing teachers with support and how they can best utilize those tools in the classroom. Just having students' cell phones out or using an app does not make the teaching and learning innovative. So how are we going to support teachers in those pieces? The PD and support model. So imagine if we could take the concept of the Genius Bar at Apple stores, where you can go, you can bring your Apple technology, and you can get support. They will coach you in the process. If we could take that and we could bring that into schools, how cool would that be? So I want you to look at what they're doing in Citrus County here in Central Florida. And I want you to look at this video, which is a really cool concept, something that I had never thought about, but really cool. Check this out.
Hi everyone, my name is Dan Koch. I am a technology integration specialist for Citrus County School District, and I wanted to share one of the things that we're doing that is pretty innovative. So that was a booking video for the Citrus Springs Middle School Genius Squad, and we're certainly not the first school to do this, but we formed a student tech team that was sort of in charge of keeping track of all of our iPads. We're a one-to-one iPad school and district. They had their own office hours. They were booked by teachers to come into their classroom and co-teach alongside them if they were very proficient in using a specific app or a tool on the iPad or the computer. And they were kind of just that guide on the side for the teachers. One of the most powerful parts of this was we got to publish our technology help videos, not just to the website that we had set up, but to the iTunes U catalog. And we have gotten downloads from all across the entire world. So talk about buy-in from students in terms of doing something at school. We even scheduled Google Hangouts with app developers from apps that we were using in class. So this lives in perpetuity. These videos are on YouTube. So these kids definitely had an I'm here moment. Thanks for giving us a shout out, Michael, and everyone have a great FATC.
So Dan's doing some amazing work in Citrus County schools where he's leveraging the technology experts that we have in our buildings, our students, to then provide support for their teachers. What a concept. Completely flipping the script. So our students now are providing the teaching and learning and the coaching opportunities to the adults in the building. Really cool concept. Dan will be presenting later on today, so check him out in the program. He's going to be talking a little bit more about how they do some of those things. You can find him on Twitter there. So let's talk about intervention. Intervention is something that we, unfortunately, in my building, in my nature of work with students that are at risk, we have a lot of. So one of our barriers, our greatest barriers, are attendance at Point Siena High School. So what we did was we took the technology of Remind, which I'm sure many of you in this room have heard of before, and we tried to incorporate an innovative use to Remind. So what we do is we take kids that are at risk for attendance and we enroll them in their Remind group, and we send them 3 text messages every single morning starting at 5:45 a.m. Okay? And we send inspirational quotes, and we send wake-up calls, and hey man, we're excited to see you at school today for your day of learning. And I will tell you that it has a profound impact because we know our kids and our barrier, many of our parents work 2-3 jobs, and they're not home when their kids leave for school. So through the use of technology, we've been able to break down barriers. On average, students in our Remind intervention group increase their attendance by 60%. All right? So that is not something that we typically think of Remind use for, but we had to, again, identify our barriers, plan with a purpose, and then make it work for us. Accessibility. I have a limited amount of funds. I would love to be able to fly my French classes to Paris. I can't. However, now with a piece of cardboard and a student's cell phone, we can take students anywhere we want to in the world through the use of apps like Google Cardboard. Check this video out.
My name is Lance Tiesling. I'm in middle school in Eagle Grove, Iowa. Eagle Grove is not a very tall place. It's actually very flat. This is the tallest building on Main Street. It is about 50 feet tall. When I grew up, I want to be an architect and design skyscrapers. Yesterday at school, we went on a class trip, but this was not a normal trip with buses. This was something very different. The very first expedition we went on was to the Burj Khalifa.
Go ahead and grab 2 hands and put them up to your face.
It's so tall.
Okay, we're gonna go to the 153rd floor.
How cool is that? And now, through the use of apps like Google Cardboard Camera, we could take that same technology, and I don't need to buy expensive 360 cameras or anything like that. I can actually use their app to now take 360 images. So this is, I'm bringing you all to Point Siena High School. This is our courtyard, and you can take a 360 image on your cell phone, and then you can use it to be viewed in the Google Cardboard viewers, where you can now, what we're in the process of doing is actually building virtual campus tours using all different areas on our campus and giving people access to 360 views without ever having to come out to our campus. And you can do that for anything you want using a simple app on your phone, which is absolutely incredible. Let's look at Starbucks. They're a great analogy for our learning and where we need to be heading with regard to education. There are 83,000 menu flavor combinations at Starbucks. If we could just take what we learn here at FETC and leverage some of those tools and some of those strategies and really give our choices to our kids to meet the diversity of their learning needs, it would be extremely helpful for both us as classroom educators and also for our students. The job is not easy. It is a huge task, and sometimes it can feel overwhelming. Trust me, I have multiple moments of that experience over the course of every day that I'm in a schoolhouse. But we're here for a reason. So I want you to know this, because I think it's probably the most important thing that I'm going to say today. You matter. The work that you do every day, no matter where your school is located and no matter the students that you work with, it matters. There are days when it doesn't feel like it does. But the work that you're doing matters. I am from a family of educators, and educators are absolute superheroes. The work that we do on a daily basis in our schools there's no better job. There truly isn't. And I want you to know that. I also want you to think about why you're here. You chose the Future of Educational Technology Conference for a reason. There is no status quo here. So you need to think about how you can leverage the things that you learn from the speakers. Ask questions of them. Provide feedback to them. Get engaged with them on social media. Because there is no status quo, and if you're here, there's a good chance you're not a status quo thinker. I want to leave you with a short clip from a TED Talk by Rita Pearson. It's my favorite TED Talk. I watch a TED video every single Monday morning, okay, when I need that pickup. But this is my favorite. This is Rita Pearson.
And we come to work when we don't feel like it, and we listen to policy that doesn't make sense, and we teach anyway. We teach anyway because that's what we do. Teaching and learning should bring joy. How powerful would our world be if we had kids who were not afraid to take risks, who were not afraid to think, and who had a champion? Every child deserves a champion, an adult who will never give up on them, who understands the power of connection and insists that they become the best that they can possibly be. Is this job tough? You betcha. Oh God, you betcha. But it is not impossible. We can do this. We're educators. We're born to make a difference. Thank you so much.
I love her. Absolutely love her. So as I close out today, I would challenge you as you move forward for the remainder of this conference and when you get home to think about why you do the things that you do and why you're here. How are you going to break down barriers when you get back into your school buildings or back into your districts, no matter where they're located? I want to thank FETC for having me out. I appreciate you guys getting up early. I appreciate the work that these amazing STEM schools are doing. It's absolutely incredible. And I'm excited about where we're headed as a profession. And I'm excited about the learning that I'm going to be engaged in the next 2 days here. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate your time.